What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Radio 7. It's Tuesday. Cafe, Dom Tibbet. This is the Italian portion of the programming where we're just going to come and say Italian words for the next half an hour and go from there.
Yeah, people are going to really be like, yeah, Beauvais makes sense, accent, Dom Tibbetts. They're going to go, what happened here?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to point you to my father, who is the least Italian-looking man
Yeah.
in the entire world. He kind of messed up the Italian lineage on my side.
Well, you got Dominic, and it's spelled the right way. It's spelled the Italian way, the Italian Dominic way. So we're here. This is the sports department. We're the two of us. Normally, we're covering the Bills. We're covering the Sabres. We're covering the Bandits, high school. So right now, it's kind of hitting the wave. We're going to get back to being busy a little bit, which is nice.
Yeah, I mean, the Combine, obviously, last week was super fun.
Dom was in Indianapolis running up my credit card.
Yes.
My company credit card on nice dinners.
Yeah, Don Perignon, I'll tell you what, is real good, and it tastes even better when it's on the company card. But no, I mean, like for the Bills, like that's the exciting part of like, okay, the season ends, you go into the lull, and then I always feel like the Combine kind of picks it back up because that really begins our, probably 2 months of prep we do for the draft. And then once the draft hits, you get those OTAs and mandatory mini camps that come up in the spring and early summer. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, we're at St. John Fisher.
Yeah, the one thing about the NFL, and they've done such a good job of making the league a 365-day operation.
Yeah,
there's always something going on in the NFL that people are talking about, and I think that's one of the reasons the sport has become so big. The Bills played their last game about a month ago. That's when they lost in the AFC Championship. Sorry, don't want to bring up bad stuff, but that's when they lost in the AFC Championship. But since then, they have already made coaching moves. They've signed Khalil Shakir to an extension. In a week, they will be able to start having conversations with free agents, negotiating. Then after that, there's the draft. After that, that's the NFL schedule. We already know the opponents. We just don't know when the games will be.
Right.
Then after that, they start to report for their off-season voluntary workouts. There's normally some drama following that. The only quiet month, I would say, is mid-June to mid-July.
Yeah,
that is when things quiet down, and that's when we put our feet up and go find a beach somewhere.
Yeah, which is normally the only time it feels like you can. And then sometimes you just are on the beach and you stumble into a said Bills player who might be on the beach somewhere joining you there too. So
hi, Danielle. Hello.
Beauvais and I do this fun thing
Jacqueline.
where we fight for vacation time in mid-July. Because it's like, as a sports person, I've been doing this for, and you've been doing it longer than me. You have said pockets of windows.
You made it sound like I'm like way older than
you. I'm just giving you your experience there.
I
boss.
appreciate that.
Are you older in age? Yeah, but like the age is just a number. Boss.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
But yeah, so it's a little pocket of time you get to like find vacation, and then all of a sudden it's like you get back here, and then like I said, you're crashing in a dorm room at St. John Fisher University, getting ready for turkey burgers.
Yeah, and it's funny too because right now this is going to, like we say, start the next wave, and I would say for the next 2 to 3 weeks things are going to be pretty crazy as far as the NFL is concerned. After that, it will quiet down a little bit up until the start of the draft. The thing that stinks though is I think there would be a nice way to fill the void with the Sabres, but the Sabres are really, really struggling.
Yeah.
So I know that everybody would be gung-ho about the Sabres if they weren't in last place in the Eastern Conference yet again.
Right. And also, I guess in a couple months too, the Bandits will be probably competing for the back-to-back-to-back championship. So you have that, right? But obviously, like the Bills and Sabres, it feels like they kind of take the priority in Buffalo sports fandom. I know, don't say that to a Bandits fan, but Bandit fans, you're going to have your moment here too. And then it just kind of all seemingly like intertwines with each other here in the Buffalo sports scene, which is always kind of cool because it's not everywhere you get that.
It's cool. The Bandits have such a massive following, and they've become such a good organization. They've always been a good organization, but they've now had a lot of success. They had won championships and everything, but for the last several years, before they won these back-to-back championships, they would get close, but then they wouldn't be able to get over the hump. A little bit like the Bills, but they were getting to the championship game and then losing, as opposed to getting to the playoffs and then losing. So it's cool to see that team continue to have success. And then you were out at Damon today. Damon's now a wagon when it comes to both men's and women's basketball.
Men's team #1 in the country.
Yeah, it's the first time a Division I or a Division II school in Western New York has been ranked #1 in a coach's poll in the nation. It's Division II. I know it's not Division I, but what they have done, 25-0?
25-0, I believe. Yeah.
That's absurd.
And they're going into their conference tournament. They're hosting it. So this is the first time. And I know you've talked to Mike McDonald before. He's a great guy.
Yeah, he's
terrific
the head
human
coach at
being.
Damon.
head men's coach there at Damon. This is going to be the first time in the men's program history that they're hosting the ECC conference tournament at Damon.
Cool.
The women have done it the past couple of years, but that's obviously a huge accomplishment for this program. Now they got to go win the thing, and then ultimately they'll probably secure, if they win, the #1 overall seed in the NCAA Division II tournament, which is, again, like I used to cover teams that were playing in Division II down in the Gulf South Conference in the Florida, Georgia area. Unbelievable talent. So for like Damon to be #1 in the country among all those teams is awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool. So give them their flowers. That's a phrase that always gets used, right? Give them their flowers. And then the Bisons. The Bisons are about to start too. The boys of summer.
Listen, you're a baseball guy at a game, or like do you need to go to a game?
My level of now obviously covering things is very different, but I am a very, very casual baseball fan, and casual might even be putting it like strongly, kind of selling it. I'm not a big baseball guy.
So like, you will, if somebody were to ask you, let's just say like you and the family want to go out, it's like a Friday night fireworks. Ellie gets a little bit older, or whatever, she can handle the noise.
That's my speed.
Like you'll go to that.
That's
if
my
someone
speed.
Gets you tickets.
Yeah, that's my speed. I feel like going to a baseball game is very fun and enjoyable. I can't sit and watch it on TV.
That's fair.
It's not as fast paced as I would like. It's not. It's just a commitment. These games, I know they're getting shorter over the years, but man, it takes a lot out of you.
No, I used to work one of my summer internships. I worked for like a college summer league baseball team in Syracuse, and this is like before the pitch clock rules and all that came up.
Yeah,
it is very excruciatingly long, and it's for somebody who grew up playing baseball. Like 3.5 hours to get a game done in 9 innings. That's ridiculous. Please, let's speed it up. Let's get it done here. I think baseball games in person much more enjoyable than watching on TV. But if you love baseball, that's how I think you buy into the love of watching it on TV.
And then, of course, when you're there, you get a hot dog, maybe you have a pop, you have some Cracker Jacks, you get the food, a pop or 2 pops, 3 pops. What?
I think we have to go
4,
about 20
what?
seconds.
Yeah.
Give me one more.
All right. We are going to take a quick break, and we will continue the conversation online during the commercial. Feel free to ask us questions. And on the TV side of things, we'll be right back. Hi, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Hello.
Happy Tuesday. Kev, can you do me a favor? Can we just move the TV a little bit? Because if we move the TV a little bit, I'll be able to see the comments or whatever questions just a little bit this way. And then if you do that, we'll move it back. Perfect. Because I got good enough eyes that I'll be able to hopefully see the comments. Anybody commenting on things that
so we got a few things, couple happy Tuesdays.
Happy Tuesday, everyone.
Howard says, "Oh, now guys, Dom is a little cubby and Matt is an old bear."
Not Howard
guy.
Simon, right?
No, Howard Flint.
Okay.
Says, "Oh, now guys, Dom is a little cubby, Matt is an old bear guy."
No, I'm not an old bear. I'm a slightly above middle-aged bear, but it is crazy now thinking about it that way. Today, you know what I did today?
What'd you do?
I took Ellie to a Sprouts story time at the Grand Island Library. And you want to talk about adulthood, is going into a library with 20 other toddlers. It was the only man in there. Legitimately, I was the only man in the building.
All right.
There's just kids singing and dancing and taking these sticks and smacking them together. They're playing these different games, and you're supposed to do it so that the kid follows your lead.
Right.
So I have these, fantastic grandmothers watching their children, some moms that are there, and then daddy is down clamping the sticks together and going, "We spin in place," and doing all these things. And she's looking at me. She's a little too, so this is the problem. My wife signs her up for these things and then fails to put it on my radar until the night before. So then last night I get a text while I'm still here, and she's like, "Hey, Ellie is signed up for this thing at the library. I think it would be a good idea to take her. It's from 10 to 10:45.
Mm-hmm.
She's a little too young for it, though, because the teacher, who's very good, is like, "All right, hold one finger in the hair,
right, of course.
in the air." And, Ellie's not even 2. She's just staring off into the distance,
she's throwing up 5s,
It's just the only thing that she knew how to do was they were giving each other high. One of the most success we had was, let's go around the room and give high fives to our new friends.
Huge.
And she was just walking around giving high fives to people. And I'm like, "Good job." And then at one point they gave her a beanbag chair or a beanbag. And they're like, "You got to shake the beanbag." And she was just whipping the beanbag back and forth.
Your baby is very musically inclined.
Yeah.
She's very
she likes
ultimate vibes guy. I mean, you need the vibes person. You're a golfer in the
Yeah.
foursomes, right? You need a vibes person.
And
Ellie is just a future vibes
and
person.
she just wants Elmo's song, and she wants her oh gosh, that sounded like I don't even know. It's like
It sounded like somebody crashed.
yeah, I was gonna say, all right, we're coming back. I'm assuming we're not gonna have a guest today. Just a safe assumption here.
Yeah, probably not. It's all right. Look, we got us.
Yeah, we got Dom. All right, welcome back. During the commercial, we were talking about story time with my daughter at the Grand Island Library, which was lovely.
Spoiler
by the way.
alert, Matt actually did not take his child. It was just him, a grown man, at the Grand Island Public Library.
We walk in, and she knows because they have something there called Itty Bitty Story Time. Would you want to talk about adorable? That is adorable.
Oh,
teaching kids how to read itty bitty story times, and it's like, okay, they get into it. Today was a different variation of that. It was much more movement focused, but when they told everybody to sit down, Ellie just stood up and stared off in the distance and was like, why are all these people sitting down? I'm like, honey, you're supposed to sit down too.
Well,
Like,
Ellie's
I don't
probably
wanna.
looking at the rest of the bookshelf. She's like, I've read this one. I've read that one. Mommy has read me this one. Dad has read me this one.
Dude, this kid's going to be so smart. It's going to be disgusting. She already is just running around the house singing her ABCs and telling us what she wants. She's not even 2. It doesn't even make sense that she's able to do. But I'm also her dad, right? So I think that she's the next Albert Einstein. She's probably just exactly what she's supposed to be.
And I don't have a child of my own, and I probably hear from Matt. He's the guy who tells me the most about his child. So in my eyes, too, Ellie is the smartest human baby I have ever met to this day. Still, there's a video. I don't want to get too personal, but there's a video of she's pronouncing our names
Dom Tibbetts
and our friends from 13 Wham, Buffalo Plus and Rochester, and she nailed the pronunciation of my name.
Nailed Dom Tibbetts. I was even joking afterwards that I think so. If you're watching us on the news and you see the 7 Sports with Dom Tibbetts, we should replace it with 7 Sports with Dom Tibbetts, because that's the way
that would be electric.
And it would be really, really funny. So maybe we need to do that at some point as just a gag, or maybe like on April Fool's Day, we'll do it to you without you even. Oh, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah,
because we could have did it without you knowing, and then you would have just started laughing while you were getting ready.
Man,
to
we've got
TV.
like a whole month ago. I'm not even gonna remember what this conversation was.
You won't remember this tonight,
so
exactly.
No, I'm not gonna remember. We could still set it up.
So so we did that, and that's been nice. It's been a nice balance of being home more for the last month since the season ended, but also at the same time, you miss the chaos. You miss football season for fans. Hi, Connie. No, my grandson is smart. Connie, I bet your grandson is smart. I think my daughter is smart. They're probably both smart. Future what is it? Salutatorian and valedictorian?
Salutatorian.
Did I get that right?
Yeah. The valedictorian's number 1, salutatorian.
Guess
or
what?
Salutatorian.
I wasn't sniffing
Anywhere close to
I
that,
wasn't
dude.
sniffing it, so I didn't need to know how to pronounce the words,
Look
basically.
at what we're doing for a living.
Exactly.
Do you think this is what valedictorians do?
Everyone- ev-
Absolutely
Every
not.
once in a while, Dom and I will mispronounce a word that is one of those words that you should know how to say. What was that word that you said that I looked flabbergasted?
Oh, there's so many.
Yeah.
There's so many. I'm so bad.
I once was sitting there, and this is such a random story. I was once sitting at a restaurant with my mom, my dad, my sister, and myself, and my dad, straight-faced, looked at the menu, and they had a chicken tortilla soup. And I don't know what happened, but he was like, I'll have the chicken tortilla soup, and we all just started dying laughing. I'm like, what did you just say? He was so embarrassed. He's like, I read it, and for some reason it didn't click as tortilla, and it was one of those things.
I wish there was one I could think of in my head, but my buddies back home, they have these things called Tibbetisms.
Tibbetisms?
Because I, for the longest time, ever since I've known a lot of my good friends from back home since we were in middle school, I am a chronic mispronouncer of just so many things that should be basic elementary knowledge, but I just find a way to put my own little twist and spin on it. If I could, I'm drawing a blank, but there's just so many that I think my memory catalog is overloading to find a good example.
Well, you unintentionally made a mistake while you were giving that example, and this is my get on a podium English lesson for the day. We mispronounce elementary in Western New York because it's not elementary.
Oh, it's elementary?
Elementary. And I learned that as a young pup reporter out covering something at a school, and I was just in the business, and I just felt like I did a live shot. And back then I used to get so nervous going on TV. I was live outside of this elementary school, and I got a call from one of the anchors back in the day, and they were like, you said it wrong.
Was
Like,
it
what do you
Keith?
mean I said it wrong? No, it wasn't Keith.
Oh, okay.
But she said it's elementary. Get that through your head. And you want to talk about, I was like, I just did the live shot. I didn't screw up. She's like, but you did. You said elementary. So that's apparently one of those words that we mispronounce. And then there's a lot of other ones that, but the Western New York accent, I think, is pretty significant.
And like, because I feel like there's gonna be a lot of people who are watching this in our Facebook comments who would also say, like, elementary, I get it. But I have always said elementary for as long as I've lived. But you also bring up mispronunciations. And it's not even like a mispronunciation. It's what you said going to the first break. I have been here for 2.5 years, Matt. And I still cringe when I hear everybody say 7-Up, Mountain Dew, root beer is pop.
That's not a Syracuse thing.
No, we say soda.
Really?
Yes.
I mean,
but because we live on the East and we don't, I get it. Buffalo is a Midwest city. We've established that the last time I was here.
Buffalo's a Midwest
but
city.
it's just, but that's the thing, 2 hours down the road.
I am flabbergasted by that.
We be saying soda.
Syracuse calls it soda. Does Rochester?
That's where I was going to ask
Can anybody
you.
in the comments please let us know, does Rochester call it soda or does Rochester call it pop?
Maybe it's like split down the middle. It's like Pittsford and East.
Maybe they call it soda pop.
Could you imagine?
Oh, the kids are getting a nice soda pop tonight.
Soda pop. Yeah, what are you going to go down to the local candy store, 5 cents at the drugstore?
Yeah, the other one to me that has always been so funny is, and I know you're not from Buffalo, but if I was saying I needed to run to the Galleria for something, what would you call it?
I would say I'm going to the mall.
Okay, but a lot of people here say the Galleria Mall, which is just redundant. It's the same thing over and over.
Right,
again.
right.
So the proper pronunciation would be like the Walden Galleria. That's the actual name. But I bet 50% at least of the people in the comments, if they're going there, would say, oh, I'm going to the Galleria Mall. Because that is the way that Rochester calls it pop. Thank you, Howard. So, I mean, why is Rochester calling it pop, but Syracuse isn't?
Listen, Syracuse has a lot that's not great.
Thank you, Connie. It is pop. I agree with that.
All right. That's Howard, Connie.
Everybody pile on Dom.
Soda,
come on, man.
Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff. No, soda question mark.
You.
You're like, yeah, come on, man. He's like, no, he's calling you out.
This is unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's all simmer down here. I don't know.
This is a little too much. What is Syracuse Western New York?
No, it's Central New York.
Central New York?
Central New York. I mean, because it's smack dab in the center of the state.
Yeah, but
know?
Rochester also says that they're Western New York, and that one is hard for somebody in Buffalo to comprehend.
Again, I feel like there's got to be like a dividing line.
All right, we gotta wrap. We're gonna continue this conversation during the commercial. We'll be right back.
There's got to be somewhere in Rochester. There's a dividing line because
Rochester considers itself Western New York.
Okay, I see, and I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Mm-hmm. But in like Syracuse, the debate is always: are you Central New York or are you Upstate New York?
Mm-hmm.
Because to people in like, let's just say like New York City area, right, downstate, they're going to say, "Oh, you live in Upstate New York."
Mm-hmm.
But you ask somebody from like Syracuse, absolutely we do not, because there's a whole like even Watertown, where I wouldn't even consider Upstate New York. You're just getting to the threshold because you still have Fort Drum, the Adirondacks, Messina, Potsdam, all those northern counties and cities up in the northern part of New York. So a little geographical lesson there too. So to me, Rochester, Western New York, Syracuse, Central New York, we say soda. Sorry, we do.
Sorry.
We've graduated.
What are the big Syracuse things? What are the big food things? Like chicken riggies?
Salt potatoes.
What is a salt potato?
Salt potato is just a
potato
potato
with
that is
salt on it?
grown in the salt grounds because Syracuse is the salt city, so there's just a lot of salt deposits around there. I think that's what makes it, honestly.
Salt, but you ever heard of salt potato?
A salt potato?
Really? Is
Yeah.
that like a common thing to know?
Yeah, in Syracuse. Again,
Apparently I'm just ignorant.
it's take them or
Midwest
leave them.
thing?
Take
Yeah.
them or leave them. They're
So
good.
does it taste any different though than just like a baked
for
potato?
Sure. Oh, for sure.
Just
Yeah.
really like.
It's if you bake it right and you like let it simmer overnight, or you cook it with like baked beans or whatever. It's just I don't know. I don't even. It's been a while since I've had it. It truly is just has a different flavor profile than a normal potato.
Okay.
But it's not like drastic. You can just tell. You're like, oh, I'm eating a salt potato.
Okay.
And they're normally smaller. Like they almost bite size, depending
Okay.
on what kind you get.
All right.
Chicken riggies is huge. I'm trying to think what else is Syracuse.
What? You're
Syracuse
shaking your head.
staple.
Chicken riggies.
Chicken riggies.
We should be there should be a camera pointed on you right now. It's just I don't disagree. It is a silly name.
It's a great food though, depending on where you go, because you can mess up chicken riggies, and when you mess up chicken riggies, it's bad.
Isn't it just chicken thighs? Isn't that what a chicken riggy is?
Chicken riggies, yeah, it's just pulled apart chicken with spicy vodka sauce normally, and I'd say some sort of your favorite pasta. Normally rigatoni.
Okay. Well, that's probably where the Riggy comes from.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Yeah, you just started. You were like, "Oh no."
No, I mean,
Oh,
yeah, I'm
no.
just pointing it out. But, I mean, you can. I've had it in different pastas. All right, guys, we'll see you.
How much longer until we come back? 30 seconds until we come back. I'm biased. I've only lived in Buffalo. Actually, this is going to be the conversation that we have coming up on the
Sure.
next
I'm good.
side.
I'm game with it.
Is this a good question? Nothing came up. It's
Not
depressing.
great. Not a great start.
Absolutely not. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Welcome back. Final segment of Studio 7 on this Tuesday, March 3rd. Is that right?
March 4th. March 4th.
Days are just blind. Oh, Ellie turns 2 in 10 days. Her birthday is Pi Day.
Oh,
3.14.
that's right.
Yep.
I remember we talked about
So
this.
at this point, 2 years ago, we were freaking out.
I
We were about to have a kid.
I bet.
So you have lived in a lot of different places. I have lived in 2 places, one of which, Wheatfield, the other one, the tropical paradise of Grand Island. So
It's so funny you say it's like I know they're 2 different places, but they're separated by like 15 miles, right?
Oh, 5. If you go by
That's
if you go by the
crazy.
crow flies, it's like 5 miles. It's not far at all. So I am a born and raised Western New Yorker. I've been very fortunate to go to a lot of different places around the country and around the world, and I've had a lot of different food. But I am of the belief that Buffalo food is exceptionally good, and we have a lot of different things that we do really, really well. What is your perspective on that as somebody who's not from here, who has now lived here for several years? Is that just me being in La La Land of being like, hey, we have such great food here, or is it actually that good?
No, I think Buffalo food really is that good.
Yeah.
I've also you got to understand too, like Syracuse, I think has a really good food scene as well. But there are only certain things that I think Syracuse does well. Buffalo, I feel like I have found a lot of good food for different kinds of palates.
Yeah.
But like specifically, like obviously you go to the wings, but like I have found some very good Mexican places. One of the best barbecue places I've ever had, and this is coming from a guy who has lived in the South before, is Southern Junction.
Yeah.
So like I think Buffalo, it shocked me at first at how good it was, and then now it's like a place where I will very much agree with you. Is like the food scene is outstanding here.
People love commenting on their favorite restaurants and where they like to go because everybody has what they would consider a diamond in the rough. We talked about this on one of the episodes last week. Where are your favorite places to go? Or if your family is in town, where are the places that you have to bring them to?
So if it's somebody who just like the first time I'll get family here, I feel like one of the top wing spots. I got to go to Bar Bill or something like that.
Yeah.
But like I have a buddy who's coming into town this weekend. I think I'm gonna take him to Doc's. I'm gonna take him to Doc Sullivan's.
Yeah.
Because that's one of my favorite wing spots, but also just a place to go get a good meal to begin with as well. But I'll probably do. I might actually take him to Elmo's because he's gonna want wings, and I might do Elmo's because I've been doing Bar Bill a lot lately, and I need to like show people that hey, like Elmo's has a great wing.
I brought you and Bree to Elmo's when we started because Elmo's double dipped wings I think are on the Mount Rushmore of wings in Buffalo.
Very good.
And they're very, very good. I think the Italian food in Western New York is very good. I think that there's wings, the bowling alley on Grand Island. You know what's funny? So Brian, about the bowling alley, there are people who talk about this bowling alley and they are I've only had them once and they were takeout. Wings do not travel well because in the styrofoam, they get too soggy and moist. But I've heard that the Grand Island Bowling Alley has unbelievable wings. But
it's time for the Grand Island guy to go in there. Go see your people.
I'm going to go I'll go do a report on the wings there. I was going to say the Italian food here I think is fantastic. I think there are some very good Mexican restaurants. There's a couple good Asian restaurants. And then there's just a lot of different variations of things. The fastball is pizza and wings. The pizza we have here, I think, is outstanding. The wings we have out here is outstanding. But there's something for everybody. And I think that's cool because I like, for us, raising our daughter, that she's going to be able to go to different types of restaurants. And it's not just, okay, we're going to go get pizza and wings or, okay, we're going to go get Italian food.
Yeah, but I also feel like I think you need a good food spot. Like you need Buffalo to be a good food spot. And I'm not talking just like the city Buffalo, like all the surrounding communities.
Western New
York, right? You're almost like raising the standard for. I think that's why you can find wings that are so good in so many places because everybody is like, hey, you can't just make mediocre food. And I think that kind of like holds true for Buffalo's. You can't make mediocre food because people are just simply not going to go to you anymore. So I think that's why like I remember when I first moved here, I was living closer to the Elmwood Village, and I used to go down to Thin Man a lot, and like just because I love a good brewery, so I'd check out Thin Man a bunch too. But then like brings me down to Resurgence, and like I think all the breweries here have good food.
Yeah.
So like, let alone then you go to like some of the Italian spots, like Rizzo's is one that I know is on this list that people talk about.
Is that the one that's in Fort Erie though?
Whatever.
Rizzo's House of Parm.
Something like that.
That's
yeah.
Maddie Matheson's restaurant. That's supposed to be like out of this world good, but it's also ridiculously hard to get a reservation
For sure.
for months and months and months in advance.
It very much is.
But it's 20 minutes away. Like, you want to talk
crazy.
about how ridiculous it is? When the Bills were in their playoff run, they did a collab with Maddie Matheson, and they shot it at that place. Now, if you don't know Maddie Matheson, famous food influencer. He's in The Bear. Is that the show that he's in?
I think so.
He's
yeah.
in The Bear. So obviously people really, really know this guy, but he's got several restaurants around the world. One of which is in Fort Erie, because that is where he is from, and the place is supposed to just be
Killer.
knock your socks off.
Yeah.
Good Italian food.
That was the one. So it's funny you bring up how hard it was. Thinking to myself, like, I'm not just going to go to Fort Erie without knowing where I can get to. I did try to call, make a reservation, but this was when my dad came up a few weeks ago, and they were like, check back in like a month. And I was like, oh, cool. Okay. So we're not going to Fort Erie today. So because that's like the big Italian spot that I wanted to try. I'm a little stingy when it comes to Italian food. I had a great grandma who had just an insane red sauce that puts any of them to shame.
Yeah.
So I'm a little picky, but when I find that place in Buffalo, you've told me to go to a bunch of different places.
There's so many good spots.
I haven't gotten out to like probably anyone. I think Chef's is probably the only Italian place I think I've ever been to.
Okay. So
it's around here. So it's tough. My palate does not run. I eat good Italian food because I can just go home back to Syracuse and have it whenever I want.
I mean, there's so many good places. There's, to me, the first ones that come to mind that I absolutely adore. Mulberry is out of this world good. I adore Mulberry. Fortuna's in Niagara Falls is a staple in the falls that not a lot of people know about, but it is just ridiculously good. Sinatra's is fantastic. You've got Lombardo, which is fantastic. There's so many good Italian restaurants in the city, and it's to me the most versatile food. I could eat pasta every single day.
Sure,
but
I could eat chicken parm every day too.
My wife is healthy, so we have like quinoa pasta with like cauliflower and whatever. Yeah, our daughter is like pasta. Ellie's favorite two things: pasta, pizza. All right, we're getting the wrap sign from Kevin.
Okay.
Thank you to Dom for filling in. Very much appreciated. I am Matt. I found out it was Tuesday at the beginning of the show, but I hope you all had a lovely Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night.
Bye.